Hey there, you are watching New Vision TV News. I am Ruthi Naseja. Starting off this bulletin is the news around Uganda, where we look at stories making the headlines across the country. Starting off is a story making headlines across the country, where police in Kampala have sealed off Kwalisel and Nabukera commercial buildings in downtown Kampala after traders protested the closing of their shops by owners Drake Lubega and Munswa Yanga Matovu. Now, security personnel also accused several leaders of traders for mobilizing others to march to the central police station to demand the release of their arrested colleagues. One Edward Ntale and a councillor were among those arrested. Police and army personnel drove off people with water cannon blasts to clear the area and ordered traders in opposite buildings such as Nakasero Complex, Skylight and Mid-City to close and also leave. Police and the army personnel took over the area and surrounded the buildings after blocking all the tenants.
Amaduka g'abasuubuzi bagagadde bagasiirinze era kuliko erimu eryakuta omuliro. Agala okumanya gavumenti yalemererwa okwotawulula abantu bano kubanga buli ekibaawo ffe tufiirwa, buli ekibaawo ne bajja ne baga nti gundi mumuwe ssente ye mutuufu. Enkya ne wayitawo omwezi gumu ne baga nti atono ye mutuufu kkooti emuleese. Gavumenti yalemererwa okwawula abantu bano abakaayana bannannyini bizimbe.
Tuli awamu batulete obupapula batugamba temuwaayo muhanji aleeta breka aleeta so we don't know.
Moving on to Chotera, Tourism Minister Ephraim Kamuntu has urged leaders to focus on youth development programs, saying 85% of the graduates are still jobless. He said it is dangerous to keep jobless graduates in the communities. While representing Foreign Minister Sam Kutesa at a graduation ceremony at Kasolo Foundation Skills Development Center in Chotera District, Kamuntu said graduates are failing to take on the available jobs in sectors such as agriculture and tourism. He said leaders should promote vocational skills training as a strategic intervention. Closing off the news around Uganda is a story from Arua, where in a move to fight unemployment among women and also keep girls in school, 60 women and girls have acquired skills in making reusable sanitary pads and crafts making. The group, drawn from different parts of Arua, completed a one-week training. Mary Chadiru from Robo Village says one packet of reusable pads can be used for a whole year. That is it for the news around Uganda. Now let us take a look at the news around the East African region and around the globe. The news around the East African region from Southeast Sudan. A group of South Sudanese women have launched a petition calling for inclusivity in the upcoming three-year transition government to implement the outcome of the revitalized peace agreement. Now, according to the Relief website, the Peace Pact allocates 35% of the ministerial portfolio's posts to women representatives in the transitional unity government. Pressing over to Rwanda and Israel are strengthening relations. The Middle East country early April opened up a new embassy in Rwanda's capital city, Kigali. It is reported that it was opened by the director of Israel's foreign ministry, Yuval Rotem, and Rwandan Foreign Minister Richard Sezibela. In Tanzania, civil society groups have warned that the deterioration in basic rights in Tanzania could undermine peace in the country, explaining that they wanted to raise a red flag over the direction President John Pombe Magufuli's government is taking. Closing off the news around East Africa is a story from Kenya, where three suspected thugs were Wednesday morning shot dead and crude weapons found on them in a botched robbery in Lakisama area in Nairobi. Now, three men are said to have broken into houses at an apartment and started to terrorize tenants. Nairobi police boss Phil Pundolo said an alarm was raised and alerted police who were on patrol. Now let's take a look at the news around the world. We start from South Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has condemned attacks on foreign-owned shops that have left 3 people dead and led hundreds of Malawians to flee their homes. Now a statement from his office called on police to identify those responsible and bring them to justice. On Monday, Foreign Minister Lidiwe Sisulu and Police Minister Bechi Sele had held talks with diplomats of African countries to discuss last week's violence. In Somalia, the African Union mission in Somalia, AMISOM, has handed over policy documents on law enforcement to Jubaland and Southwest States police forces to help streamline policing in the 2 federal member states. The documents cover issues critical to establishing a professional police force, among them code of conduct, transfer guidelines, human resource management, dress code, community policing, and recruitment, promotion, and gender equality. That is the news around the world and around East Africa. Next is the Pearl of Africa series. Thank you, Lynn, for the news around East Africa and around the globe. Let us take a look at our daily Pearl of Africa series, which is Kagubala Rocks. Now, in our Pearl of Africa series, we look at the rocks in Bukedia district, known as Kagubala Rocks. These are found in a region also called Kagubala. The rocks have interesting shapes which have attracted masses from various parts of the world to look at them. Let us also take a look. This beautifully set up rocky area is in Bukedia district in the eastern region of Uganda. The rocks are situated in a region called Kagubala, and unsurprising, the rocks are also called Kagubala Rocks. Sitting on this fertile soil ground, Kagubala rocks have managed to sprout high above, looming the sky and finding comfort in the vegetation below. Farmers settling around this area are also benefiting from the fertile soils by planting a few cash crops. Besides farming, hiking is one of the most interesting activity anyone can engage in while at these rocks. Kagubala rocks are believed to be igneous rocks which are formed when melted rock cools and solidifies. A melted rock may come in the form of magma when it is found underneath the earth's surface. It can also come in the form of lava when it is released onto the earth's surface during a volcanic eruption. For more Pearl of Africa stories, visit our website, which is www.newvision.co.ug/Pearl of Africa. Our newspaper, The Sunday Vision, is also another home of adventures, so get that copy every Sunday for Pearl of Africa stories. But now, let's speak business in the Handshake with Lynn Komjisha.
Well, hello there. You're watching The Handshake here, New Vision TV. My name is Lynn Komjisha. Now, I have with me Paul Bushelezi. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We have a month or so to the reading of the budget, or two?
About 2.
Yes.
3.
And so the government has proposed new tough tax measures relating to rental income, excise duty, and business licenses. Before we go into those 3, there was a lot of confusion, you know, when they introduced the OTT, they introduced social media tax. And what have they done about this before we get confused again?
No, OTT, nothing happened to OTT. They adjusted the mobile money tax, which had a bit of double, can you call it double taxation? Yeah,
but that was before. Yes. We got confused before it was rectified. What are they doing now? What is all this?
No, it's continuing. They're bringing useful revenues to the national coffers.
How?
I forget the figures, but I think OTT is expected to bring in what the budget was for 64 billion in this year. It's coming in well.
Well. So now we have rental income, excise duty, and business licenses. The new tough tax measures. Why now?
Well, first of all,
what have they been missing?
We need revenue.
Yes,
the
true.
The truth of the matter is that government is has taxed everything possible. I think has put in place tax measures for everything possible, and now they're trying to really adjust the edges of it.
Right.
Like one of the taxes, which was actually interestingly was thrown out last year by the MPs, was the one which they're trying to reintroduce this year. Is that if you're a business and you've made losses for 7 years, they'll tax you 0.5% on your revenues going forward. I think the idea is that, look, how can you be making losses for 7 years and you're not out of business? There must be something wrong, so let's at least get something off the top.
My worry right now is, how am I going to understand these taxes? Have they put measures of, sensitizing us about these taxes, or do they just want to come and tax us?
If they affect you, you'll understand them. I mean, OTT, everyone understood OTT.
Oh, yes.
Everyone understood mobile money. You
I
start
agree.
telling them excise duty. Excise duty is mostly on manufactured goods and stuff. People might not, if you're not a manufacturer, you might not feel it. Of course, you can understand it academically.
Rental income.
Yeah, rental income, I think the proposal is that if you have more than one rental property,
yes,
that you should pay on all the others individually.
Oh.
But I think this one is because I think some people own properties in their names.
And in different places.
Yes, so I think they're just going after people who own property in their place. I think the smart thing to do really is to have these properties under a company. Then you pay, I think you even pay
at once.
less rental tax.
Oh well. That aside, I was discussing with one of my colleagues, and so he says every new budget is absolutely new. Like there was never a previous budget. We never get reports on previous budgets. Why is this?
No, that's not true. Because every budget, well, it's true and it's not true.
Okay.
It's true in the sense that every budget is catering for the needs and demands of the time, whatever it is. So if, for example, we needed to get, like last budget, we needed to get money from social media, so OTT is put in. So that's a thing that is, but there are things that recur over the budget, just that they are not mentioned, like income tax,
right?
Tax on personal incomes, VAT. I think they have not mentioned VAT in the budget forever, but it is there. So it's just depending on the circumstance. That's how you should look at it.
Is there a balance brought forward at some point?
A balance from previous budgets?
Yes.
Well, the truth is that not everybody, sadly, shockingly and sadly, not everybody who is given money completes their money, and some money actually is sent back to the treasury at the end of the year because people have failed to finish it. It's not like a home budget where you keep the money and then let's just continue. No, well, if it gets to June 31st and you've not spent the money, you send it back and you get the new money.
Why don't they give us those reports? Why don't you think we need them?
They're actually there. I think the Auditor General reports on it every year.
And then what?
But you people are not affected directly, so you're not interested. If they were talking about OTT tax, you'd be very interested.
I think we'd be very interested.
Money tax.
We're going to be very interested in the recent budget.
Which one? OTT?
No, the recent, the one of 2018. 19, yes.
Why will you be interested?
I want to know how the OTT worked. I want to know if...
Absolutely, that's good. In fact, even just as a measure of education, we should tax things just so that people will be interested in the budget.
I think so.
The other day, somebody was proposing, I think his NEMA was proposing a carbon tax, that every Ugandan should be taxed because we are depleting the environment. So this tax will be used to replenish the environment. So then everyone will be interested in the budget. You see, now, we're not interested. The old days of where the finance minister would say, tomorrow, starting from midnight tomorrow, bread will be up this amount, milk will be up, those days are gone. So now people are not interested. Now we need to, I think, just as an education purpose, maybe
Yes.
I'll propose it to the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah, we should.
As an education tool.
Yeah.
Just tax everyone so that people will be interested in this budget.
In this
Yes.
budget. So we know what happened.
You see, even now we don't even pay graduated tax. Those days everyone was paying graduated tax.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lynn. In our special report today, now since the reported assassination attempt on ICT State Minister Ida Nanta on March 24th, 5 glaring questions remain unanswered, raising questions over the competence of the investigating officials or their willingness to reassure the public after serious alarm and concern have been raised over public safety in the country. New Vision TV raises the glaring questions.
Since the reported assassination attempt on ICT State Minister Ida Nantaba on March 24th, 5 glaring questions remain unanswered, raising questions over the competence of the investigating officials or their willingness to reassure the public after serious alarm and concern have been raised over public safety in the country. New Vision TV raises the glaring questions. 1. Seblime's phone. While police has listed the late Seblime's personal effects recovered from him before Corporal Edward Sally shot the handcuffed victim to death, the items do not include the deceased's mobile phone. Yet Sally doubtlessly had a phone on him on which he had been called by his family members who were expecting him to arrive at his children's school. The phone, which was presumably recovered by police from Sally, is crucial as its contents would help in the investigations. It is curious why it is not being brought into the picture, since phones have been key in resolving acts of terror and murder over the last decade in Uganda itself. 2. Identity and arrest person who gave execution order. While Corporal Edward Sally was heard by several witnesses saying he received the order to execute the handcuffed Seblime on phone, police has not arrested that person who must be accused, number 1, in the murder case. Whether or not Sally reveals the identity of the person who gave him that order to kill, the police must obviously get the number that called a minute or so to the execution. Even if Sally deleted the number, the service provider has the data. But for some reason, police has only reported the arrest of Corporal Edward Sally and Constable Ronald Opira, who was with Sally, but not the one who gave him the order to kill. 3. Producing the suspects in court. Police has already owned up to the murder of Ronald Sally by its officer, but curiously, they did not produce the suspect who is in their custody within the stipulated 48 hours. This raises suspicion that can be avoided by arraigning the suspect and his accomplices. It is not clear what caused the delay. 4. Tugume's record. After the allegation of an assassination attempt on the minister, the name of her bodyguard, one Tugume from the Special Forces Command, came up. At least 2 young men from Kayunga, Alex Yiga and Geoffrey Mubiru, have come up and reported being grievously assaulted by the same Tugume as far back as 2016 while working as bodyguard of the Honourable Minister Ida Nantaba. The victims, who claim that Tugume tends to use a bayonet to stab people who go near the minister's car, have produced records showing that they have reported the attacks to police. It is thus curious that no apparent steps were taken to rein in Tugume since 2016, when he exhibited extreme violence against the Honourable Nantaba's constituents. The victims claim to still be suffering effects of Tugume's knife in the head and the stomach for 2 of those who have reported. So who is Tugume? Is a question that police has not shed light on. 5. Diplomatic immunity for Nantaba. For a week, the CID has not managed to interview Ida Nantaba while she is at her home, whose address is known to police, where she said she was instructed by the president to stay in response to summons to report to CID for recording of her statement. CID has shown reverence and no hurry in getting to NANTABA as if she enjoys diplomatic immunity, yet she is a vital person in the whole saga. The comical circus of communication why she cannot travel to Chibuli is raising questions why investigators do not get to her as soon as possible wherever she may be on the planet. While she reported to Nagalama police before Seblimi was executed, new developments have emerged that make it urgent for investigators to interact with her some more. Why the casualness and comedy instead? With so many unresolved murders and fears of assassination in the air, police is being too casual about the murder and needs to show some seriousness to inspire confidence in the public.
That is all I had for you. Thank you for watching. Be sure to catch more news updates and other programs here on New Vision TV by visiting our website, which is www.newvision.co.ug/video. You can also follow us on social media. Facebook is The New Vision, Twitter is @NewVisionY, Instagram is @NewVisionY, and our YouTube channel is New Vision TV. Catch up with me on my Twitter handle. I am Ruth, the Voice. Thank you for watching.